All yours.
Good evening. We'll go ahead and start the town council meeting. We're starting at 6:58. We held a budget meeting before. First item on the agenda is to consider approving the minutes held on February 28th.
I make a motion, we approve those minutes.
There's motion is second, by Dave, all in favor. First item up tonight is a discussion from Chief Coughlin. Fire truck.
I will hand the floor earlier today.
That happened quick, I came in the first item. So I had a presentation, so I just want to take one day and just hand it down. I think it's easier, the way we're set up now, just to kind of do it this way. And wait till everybody gets their pages and they kind of follow along. So over since probably last fall, starting November and December of last year, we started looking into what it was going to cost to replace the next fire truck. And what we found out is the price of these vehicles are going up about 1% to 2% a month right now through the last 2 years, and what they're anticipating for this current year that we're in. So for the past 2 years, they've seen a 25% increase. They're expecting a 6 to 12% increase for 2023, which is where we're in now. So the next truck that's up due for replacement is our engine 5. So I gave you just a brief summary of engine 5. That truck was bought new by the town in 1993. The truck is now 30 years old. When it came to town, it was state of the art. It had a compressed air foam system, A and B foam, had an onboard generator, 1,800 gallons of water. It was our first due fire truck to fires and everything the town had. As I said, the truck's now 30 years old. That's our normal replacement for fire trucks. We've been running a couple of years behind on our replacements, which is why we're still kind of in the saving mode. As you know, we've put $100,000 away the last 2 years. We proposed another $100,000 for this upcoming fiscal year budget, which will bring that amount in that reserve account to $300,000. So as the truck's 30 years old, the foam system's no longer functional. Truck has some safety features. New trucks have more safety features than the old trucks. This truck, anybody that's seen it out on the roads, any incline, maximum speed is about 10 to 12 miles per hour. A lot of air valve actuated pieces on the pump don't always function properly. So it's showing its age. It's a 30-year-old piece of equipment. So on our, as we look out a long-term plan, 2023 has been the target date for this truck. Kind of pushed back to that 2025 just because of how we're saving or how we've been saving. So what we're running into is not only the increase in cost in the vehicle, but we're also seeing increased lead times for delivery. So for example, if we were to order a truck in July of 2023, we'd expect delivery in 2 years. It used to be closer to a year. A lot of factors go into that. I hate using the COVID, but COVID is one of the factors, but supply chains, lack of staffing to build the truck. But the biggest thing that happened during COVID is a lot of this production got shut down. So the plants got behind. So they still got the same manufacturing plant trying to produce multiple years worth of orders or trucks. So that's put them basically 2 years behind. They anticipate basically being told that's probably the new norm for a build truck, at least in the foreseeable future. So again, I restated there the price increases and the forecasted price increases for the upcoming year. So to replace our engine 5, we currently have a price from E1, which is one of the manufacturers of fire engines, for $497,000. This is a commercial chassis Freightliner. It's nothing fancy. It's your basic Freightliner truck. It's got a heavy heavy duty chassis for making it the fire, modifications to make it a fire truck. The new truck that we propose would have a 1,250 gallon minute pump, just like the current one does. Have a 2,000 gallon water tank. The difference between the new truck and the old one is that it'd be on a single rear axle versus the twin that we have now. That's just, as these trucks have gotten more modern, and they've increased the strength of the trucks, they're now able to put 2,000 gallons on a single rear axle. Truck would have a master stream deck gun, just as the current one does, rear quick dump. Would also have a front pre-connected hose similar to our engine 4 on a ladder truck. The reason for that is this new truck, when we get the new engine 5, will kind of take the place of engine 4 as that front line piece to respond to structure fires. The NFPA standard for what they recommend for a frontline truck is 15 years. Engine 4 will be 15 years old in 2025. The new truck will not have a compressed air foam system. It won't have a foam system on it. The foam will be done separately through buckets and inductors. It won't have an actual system on the truck. It won't have a booster reel, and it won't have a generator, which is all things that the current truck has. And a couple reasons for that. One, the price keeps going up. 2 is the amount of foam that we're using now is cut back a lot from 10 or 12 years ago. We're not using as much foam. Then we can use an inductor and a bucket for car fires, for fires that we need foam for. I mean, we still have capability of foam on 2 other apparatus. So it's not like we're losing our foam capabilities. We're just not gonna have that pre-plumbed in holding tank of foam on truck. Generators on trucks, it's kind of an outdated thing other than your aerial piece. With the LED lighting and newer technologies, they don't need generators to run all the lights that we used to run. It can all be done off inverters and off the truck. My new rescue truck, as you know, has that light tower. Generator doesn't run that, it runs all the truck. So that's a piece of equipment that you typically don't see put into your fire engines as much as you used to in the past. And again, it's not something that we're losing. We still have a generator on our ladder truck. We have a generator on engine 4. So, we're trying to replace the equipment to work with what we already have. So it complements our other pieces of equipment, if you will. It all works together to accomplish our end goal. The new truck's life expectancy, 30 years, just like the ones we have now. We're looking for a 30-year truck. That's one reason that, we propose going with the E1 manufacturer or a large fire truck manufacturer versus some of the regional builders, because a lot of those trucks, they're only lasting 12, 15, 16 years out in the real world. We're seeing that in some communities around us. You see fire trucks being replaced in 15, 16 years. They're replacing fire trucks. We're on a 30-year replacement plan. That's also a reason that we like having custom built versus just buying a stock truck, because we can upgrade some of these things, get some undercoatings, get things that they don't put on stock trucks. Again, to help us get that 30-year life expectancy from the equipment. So one of to kind of get to my proposal, if you will, is kind of twofold. One is typically we go out to bid on this type of purchase. We propose doing a sole source through E1, which has been our manufacturer for our ladder truck, our engine 2, our engine 3, and our engine 4. So kind of have a barn full of them, so to say. So that in itself, it gives us fleet uniformity. It's a proven product to us. It's economies of scale for service. We can get discount on fleet service because we're having all the trucks service the same. And so our engine 4 and engine 3 that I've replaced since I've been fire chief, we have done the bid process. E1 has come out on top each time. with the best product and the best price to meet our community needs. Talking with some of the area chiefs, that are kind of in the bidding process right now. One of them has a bid for a fire truck from another manufacturer for more money than this, that carries 2,000 gallons of water. Carries 1,000 gallons of water. And is a smaller truck all the way around. So I really feel that the price that we're getting is a good price, is a good reputable company, and someone that we've had dealings with now since engine 2 is a 2003, I believe. So that's been where we've gotten our best prices and biggest bang for the buck over the years. So that's one piece. The second piece is the increase, as I was talking about, the increase in costs. The costs keep going up, keep going up, keep going up. So we have, in-house here, the guys here, we've been trying to say, okay, well, what are some options? What can we do to try to stop that, if you will? Put in a stopgap. How can we lock in today's price? How can we avoid future price increases? How can we afford the truck? How can we fit it into our budget? So currently we have 200,000 in our fire truck reserve. We're looking to approve an additional 100,000 in this current budget negotiation for the 23-24 budget cycle. That would give us 300,000 to basically order a truck. If we did that, we could lock in the price, which is going to be somewhere around that 497,000 price range. The downfall to that, if you will, is next budget cycle, instead of asking for $100,000 into our fire truck reserve, we would need 197,000 to finish the purchase. This would allow us to get a delivery of the new truck in 2025, which will make the current truck 32 years old. So by waiting and continuing to put money away in the reserve account without trying to lock in this price, we're looking at a potential. One, it's going to be hard to ever get caught. It's hard to get caught up with 100,000 when the prices are going up 12% a year. But that truck could end up costing us upwards of 600,000 to save another 2 years. And we'd be looking at a delivery somewhere in the 2028 timeframe, which would make the truck we're replacing 35 years old. So basically, to sum it all up and answer any and all questions, the sole source to the E1 to be able to lock in today's price with town meeting approval for this year's money going in, we'd have 300,000. And then in the next budget cycle, we need 197,000, but the price would be locked in. We wouldn't see another price increase. I just threw a lot at you. I wanted to bring this up. I wanted to kind of put this in. I felt it was something that should go in front of the council before we just kind of threw it out there to the budget committee, because ultimately the council is the one that makes these decisions, and the budget committee is going to make a recommendation on what to do from there. I want to try to present all the facts as we see them and put it out there so that you can ask me questions and decide how we can move forward on being able to replace this piece of equipment. So,
Questions? Mr. Wrigley?
Do you have to put any money in when you make the order?
so when we
If we order it early like this?
So if we're able to basically what they've told me is if we get a preliminary approval, they'll put us in line, for lack of a better term.
Right.
After town meeting, if we have the 100,000 gets approved for this year's count. If we go to the manufacturer, we go to E1 and say we have $300,000 that we can put down as a down payment, they will give us a discount. I can't tell you exactly what that discount is gonna be. Could be 5,000, could be 10,000, but it'll be something. So then it becomes Kelly's question of, can I make more with that money somewhere else? Or are we better to take a discount? So that I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming our investments are probably not making a lot of money, but 300,000 could make money. So we'd have to make that decision at that time. So yeah, we'd make some sort of down payment. And then we move forward, whether it's the whole 300,000 or it's 200,000. That's for the bean counters to figure out.
Yeah.
That answer the question?
Yeah, I just didn't know how much we had to put up front here come July 1st, if we ordered the truck. How much money we had to
That's something we'd have to.
turn in, so we don't
Yeah,
know.
they'd give us some different scenarios on, if we did 150,000, we might get a discount on that final price. If we did 300,000, we might get this for a discount on the final price.
Yeah.
So, as we continue to work through this, we could come up with something.
Sort of like, I guess, bonding something, going out and buying a bond, because theoretically, next year in the budget, we have to include 197,000. So we're sort of, and I'm not against this at all, but we are saying to ourselves that we've already approved 197 to be added to capital reserve out of next year's budget. So as Ella develops the budget, she knows that's a set money, just like if we had to pay off a bond. If we, and I'm not, let's say that next year's budget doesn't pass. And we have to cut 97,000. What would what would happen if we have committed, we've made a down payment, but we can't take it next year, we're gonna take it a year after. Now, I'm not supposing that would happen, but it's possible.
It would be, I guess I'll let Ella answer that question. I mean, I guess we'd be entering into a binding contract. So it wouldn't necessarily be money that would be putting into a reserve account at that point. It would be
in the budget.
it would be in the budget. So what account it's in probably doesn't really matter because it's the bottom line. So I'll let Ella answer that question.
And the chief and I talked about that today, and it's exactly what he said. We are gonna enter into a contract with this company to purchase this vehicle. And if we can only get $100,000 out of the budget next year to cover that portion of the contract, then maybe we need to consider doing the same thing we did with our streetlights. Well, at least for it that last year and cover it that way. If it's going to save us $100,000, it makes no sense not to do this. I mean, we know that Chief Coughlin does a great job with keeping his trucks maintained and keeping a rotation fresh, and he gets every year he can get out of them. As far as lining up E1, we've been doing this for a number of years now for Public Works Garage. We've been buying Freightliners because what we found is a Freightliner with a Cummins engine gives us years of use, and it also allows us to buy parts that cover them all. So you don't have a Volvo, you don't have a Freightliner, you don't have an International, you have all the parts, and it's the same thing that we benefit here. So it's actually a savings for us, but it takes an investment. And unfortunately, we're in this weird time with all of this equipment. Buying a pickup, we experienced it before. It's, what I mean, this fire equipment, just it blows my mind, the cost of this stuff. Just it's painted red, you're gonna pay 3 times what it would cost you to have flour about that. So I personally, I agree with this process the chief is doing. He's done his homework. These guys have contacted with each other. He knows what the best trucks are, and to not allow this to go out to bid and to sole source this out takes a simple vote from the council to do that. Historically, we've proven that this company has treated us correctly, and we keep their apparatus all the same.
I guess my follow-up to that, I sort of figured that was, but I just wanted to make sure we all were aware. going forward, we have an inventory of trucks. Do we need to be setting aside smaller amounts, not smaller than we have in the past, but smaller than 150,000 or whatever, going forward, so that the next truck we buy, we're not gonna be at the end saying we need to come up with an extra $200,000 because we just can't afford today's price. And I'm sure you're thinking about that, but I think that's probably where we're going. We're gonna have to be putting more money into our reserve, which is gonna increase the budget annually to keep up with the cost of vehicles.
You know, this has always been a wrong Peter to pay Paul scenario. When we get the fire truck purchase, we can look at the other piece of equipment that we've been trying to get down to Jump Falls and maybe plus that up, because it's not just the fire department, we're buying heavy equipment, all areas, so, I wouldn't disagree with that. But when we're up against it and we're trying to keep our taxes flat, we may not put money in the fire department equipment budget, we may put it into that bulldozer that Jeff needs down at the public works garage. So that's kind of where we are on that. That's wishful thinking, but in reality, it doesn't happen that way.
I think maybe to the point where it has to, because we can't afford every year some piece of equipment that we, the simple one, the truck we bought for sewage department. We had budgeted whatever it was and came in at that price, and we had a contract, but they didn't honor it. So it would have cost us $15,000 more to buy it, which we didn't have. So I don't know, I just I hate to put as much money aside as we probably would need, but maybe we have to.
What's the next piece of fire apparatus
So,
and when?
because we're always trying to think of these things. But the next, thing that we would do would be to probably do a refurb on our ladder truck. That truck is approaching an age where we'll have to put some money into that. So once this gets done and moved on, we'd be looking at probably between $50,000 and $100,000 to refurb the ladder. And what that involves is hydraulic hoses, emergency, scaling any rust, fixing corrosion, things like that. That would then give us the anticipated additional 15 years of that truck. So right now, so that truck will last so that I won't have to replace it. I'll retire before that truck gets replaced.
How old is that?
If we were looking to replace that truck today, with today's price, we're probably at 1.1.
It's pushing anywhere between 900 and 1.1.
Yeah, like a cheap girl, because he's,
I'm looking at buying.
it's a lot of money. So, if we can spend 75,000 and get another 15 years out of it, that'd be money well spent. So that would be the next thing. There was a question of how old the truck is. It's a 2004.
Okay, so let me ask a question. Make believe I just moved into town. I don't know you. I don't know how frugal you are or aren't. What happens if we don't buy this truck at all?
And if we don't buy this truck at all,
We got a whole garage full of trucks.
that's
We're
always,
gonna miss one.
that's always a question that comes up, because everybody has fire trucks and people come from mutual aid and they see trucks lined up down the road. So you hear that all the time. So the way that the fire department functions is you have to have pieces of apparatus that complement each other and that come together to get whatever job it is that's done. So this piece of apparatus that we're replacing is going to not only be a water supply, but can also be a attack fire apparatus. So it can fill multiple roles, if you will. So if you don't replace it, you're looking at a truck that is 15 years old or more, being your lead fire truck into a fire, which starts to become a safety factor of these trucks start wearing out. They become less reliable as they get older. So we try to cycle the trucks. So that every 10 to 15 years, there's another truck coming in line to be that. Attack lead truck. So what we end up having is. We have a fire truck that shows up that is your attack truck. You have a fire truck that shows up that supports that attack truck. So we call it a nurse truck. So that gives you the additional water that you're gonna need to make that initial fire attack. So then you have your aerial piece that comes with, that has its job. Then you need a truck that's gonna go, if you're outside the hydrant district, you need a truck that's gonna go get your water through a water shuttle. So you're gonna need something to draft water out of a lake, get water out of a hydrant. It's gonna have to fill other trucks to bring to your fire. So you need a truck to do that. That's where your mutual aid trucks come in and they assist with that because you have to have certain rotation in order to keep your gallons per minute flowing at a fire. So you need that rotation of trucks. So we could never buy enough tank trucks to keep that rotation going. That's why we rely on the mutual aid trucks to jump into those cycles. So everything that we have has a job, has a place to be. And if one of those is gone, then it's, you go to the weak link.
So one of the points then of being on the 30-year rotation is that your first truck or your prime truck for a fire is less than 15 years old.
Correct.
Is that?
That's one piece of it. Yep. Yep, that's one piece.
I'm good.
Any further questions?
You talked about the 93.
Yeah.
That you're replacing.
Yeah.
Goes up a hill 10 to 12 miles an hour. What's in that for the motor now versus what you get?
We're, right now, it's like a 200 horsepower.
Okay.
The new truck has 400. That was about it. It's a Cummins. It's not, you know, the last couple of trucks we've gotten have been, got those international engines that are, yeah, so.
That's got an automatic transmission in the one you're trading in too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the issue of that truck, it's the old automatics that they just don't have any for.
You started out with that.
Yeah, no, that's good question, because and, you know, so it'll double what that truck is.
24 miles an hour.
You know, what speed isn't, it's not that we're looking for this great speed, because the trucks are governed anyway through NFPA, they can only go so fast. It's getting out of the hole. We're in a hole.
Thank you.
You know that. You drive it too. Any other?
I'll make a motion that, come whenever we have town meeting and this budget's approved for July 1st, that we order a truck. And then you and Ella and Kelly will have to decide what the most advantage of putting money aside to them, or just keeping it for ourselves and paying them when the time comes. I mean, you can figure that out. Kelly knows what interest rate we earn, and that's all they're gonna do is put it in the bank and earn interest on it.
You
So,
couldn't make that decision
I mean,
today.
it'd be
because
easy
the
to
rates are
figure
gonna-
out, so I'm
rates are
making a
gonna
motion,
change, everything. You know.
we order a truck and get it on the way.
Motion's been made. Do we have a second? Questions from Dave?
Are we ordering it prior to July or after July?
No, after the budget,
After the town
Yeah.
meeting.
But a promise now. Cause I get on the list,
Well,
we'll
this is-
hold things.
On the list, the whole thing, so we're not bound to anything until,
I wanna hold that.
yes, no,
Increase.
absolutely, yeah.
That's the whole objective, is to stop the increase.
It's to stop the increase.
Motion made second by Dave, all in favor? Thank you.
Could I have another motion and vote on allowing us to bypass the purchase policy so that we don't go up the bid?
for more. I think it's a good scheme that we keep the brand of truck that we know and are familiar with. We've done it before on the town trucks.
Motion's been made second by David, all in favor?
Yeah, okay, thank you, everybody.
Next item up. Personal property write-off.
Right, you have a sheet of paper and it shows a few personal properties that are either owners of deceased and gone out of business and moved out of the area. The total amount is $1,403.83. We've done this before. This is personal property write-off. And the money's not collectible. It just allows us to get it off the books.
I'd make a motion, we write this property off.
Second.
Motion made, second by Dawn, all in favor? That off the new town hours.
Okay, so I've started this conversation through email with you a few weeks ago to let you know what other towns are doing and I would like to have you consider allowing the town of Oakland to do the same thing. And what we've done is we have switched our employees to a 4 and 3 schedule. The problem that we've experienced running for about a year, it's great for the staff. I mean, everybody, including Jan, has been taking advantage of this. It helps with retention and attraction of the job. It makes for less time off. People aren't calling out sick so much because they have that extra day off. But what we're finding on this, the way the schedule is that we're finding that we have too many days with just 2 staff members working the front desk. And there's a various amount of reasons for that. One is we've got everybody pulling double duty. Christine works part-time down at the front end. She works as a part-time assessor upstairs. We've got Sheila who works assistant finance. She's also working the front end. We have Abby who's working the front end, and now she's taken over Ryan's old job with the Facebook and the media and all the stuff that's going. Plus, she's working on the Oak Fest process. So everybody does 2 jobs in the town office. If we move to a schedule that allows the town office to be open Monday through Thursday and close on Friday, it completely fixes that issue. And you saw the email that I sent out to the other towns. I gave you a list of 15 towns, some of them neighboring towns. I've received about another 7 since this email's gone out. And everybody has the same comment. It works well and very little pushback from the community. People get used to it. If this is something that the council after discussion or thought decides to do, it would be something that I wouldn't be willing to do until summer. So that we can make sure that everybody was aware of the new town office signs. Get AJ to go with the sign that's out front of the town office and letting people know that the town is going to be, the town office is going to be closed on Fridays. We've already changed our hours around, so we were opening at 7 o'clock in the morning, we're closing at 5 o'clock at night. People are taking advantage of that. Everybody's going to still work a 40-hour work week. That's not going to change. I'm planning on working 5 days a week. That'll give me a day of being by myself at the town office, so I get projects done, I can be out, working with the staff, doing things like that. That's the direction we're all going in. You saw something in Town and City magazine that sent it out, and Sophie Wilson was just talking to her today about it. And she said it was good. They're not getting sick calls, but people's got that 3 days. A lot of times when people call out sick, they're not really sick, they just want that day off. And it's always either a Friday or a Monday that they get that long weekend. So I'd like to open it up for discussion and see where you all feel about this.
Go ahead, Daniel. Looks like you had a question.
Well, I think what I was gonna say is after we get done talking, I'd like to have Ella furnish us at next meeting, a schedule of the hours per day that they plan to work and how this is gonna work. I think it's a great idea to try for morale of our workers and efficiency, and a lot of towns are doing it, a lot of businesses are doing it.
I don't think I'd change the hours, Dana, from the 7 to 5, because that seems to be
Okay,
accurate.
I hadn't heard the hours before, so
Yeah.
you just mentioned that,
Yeah.
so that would be your plan, is
Yeah, 7 to 5, we just close down on Fridays. I mean, you're still gonna have, the assessor's gonna be there. The code enforcement officer's gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. Once in a while Kelly pulls a Friday because she gets behind with her workload and stuff. So the building's not gonna be empty on Friday. We're just not gonna have permanent.
One moment.
So are those people who want to see the assessor gonna be able to get in the building to work with them?
I will be there. And the thing is, they may have to make a phone call so we can get the building unlocked for them to get in there. We'll figure all that out as we move through this.
David,
How are you gonna do the positions that aren't working 40 hours?
Everybody that this would affect is working 40 hours.
It says from an email from you based on a request that I had. finance HR director is 35 hours, assessing's
Those are all
35,
salary positions.
just says hours worked.
Right, and that's what they work. I mean, Nate goes home at noon time on Fridays. Get his 35 hours. Kelly, she comes in early.
Like 7:40, 7:30, 7:45 to 4:05.
So if they're working 4 10s, they're just gonna adjust themselves in that.
They adjust.
I work 4 8-hour, 45 days.
A lot of those people aren't gonna be changing. This is primarily for the front end staff. I've been working to try to get everybody in town on 4-3 schedule. And they just have to extend their hours on Monday through Friday or whatever days that they're working their 4 days on. Christine takes Wednesdays off. She works Monday, Tuesday, she's off Wednesday. Abby takes Thursdays off. Sheila takes Fridays off. Kathy takes Fridays off. Jan takes Thursdays or Fridays off. So, I mean, and the other concern that I got coming is vacation time, summertime. You know, so right now, the way it's working, we've got 2 people that are working, then we have vacation times, and it's gonna be a problem. I see it coming to be an issue. Last year, we kind of worked through it all right.
So this is a position, not necessarily every department head is gonna follow this.
No, this is just the town office. This is the town office hours.
Mr. Ball?
Do we have busy days of the week and slow days of the week? Do we
Depends on
know?
the time of month. Yes, it depends on the time of month. We have slow Fridays, we have slow Mondays sometimes, we have busy Fridays and Mondays someday. People will adjust to that. One
So
thing,
you've never actually, you can't tell from the receipts or from account of customers at the counter. You can't tell, do you, or can you?
It isn't particularly a day of the week, but when it's snowmobile season, then yes, it's busy. But it's not, it doesn't depend on the day. A lot of people can do those online now, and they do, but if it's a first time registration, they have to come and see us. Same thing with, when taxes are due, that they do wait for the due date to come in and pay.
Which is usually Friday.
Usually a Friday, yeah.
we're actually making that Thursday. Sure. Hoping that we can convince you to let us
Winslow
try
has a
this.
big marquee sign, says, we are closed on Friday.
Yes, and that's what we're gonna do.
Great big marquee sign, you can read it.
So I don't have any particular objection to going to 4 days a week. I think as long as we give people a far enough heads up so that when they show up on Friday and on whatever and you're closed, they should have known better. But the difference between a Friday and a Monday, is that just a coin toss to you? Or?
Well, Jen and I beat that one up a lot.
And the reason I asked that, and I'll let you answer the question, is that one of the emails that you sent from, was it the Winslow town manager? Who mentioned a problem with Monday holidays? I
Yeah,
think,
well,
you wanna talk about that?
Monday, well, that's because what they do is if they have a Monday holiday and a Friday off, they don't wanna have that person gone on. It's a comp time issue. I think that they pay him comp time for the time off, I believe.
That's something I'd rather have figured out before we do this.
We haven't been doing that. What we've been doing is we have a holiday and they got Thursday off and Friday's a holiday. She takes them both off. And we pay her holiday pay. We've got that built into our budget. Everybody gets paid for their time off. And so we're not open on holidays, so it's not an issue. I'd have to reread Erica's email again to see what she said, because I just kind of got it and sent it right off to you guys.
So the Monday, Friday question you
Yeah,
want?
so the Monday, the problem with taking Mondays off is that's the day we send all of our registrations to the state.
Yes.
Jan can answer that.
Yeah, the reports go to motor vehicle. I think that I've always thought that I need to come back to work on Monday because you've got follow-up emails and just start your week off. Then it is easier to have it at the end. And that's just has always been my feeling. And everybody agrees at the office too, is that you come back into the office on Monday morning and you start getting calls and a little bit different than getting them on Fridays.
So just to kind of recap, the only people that are actually gonna be impacted by this is gonna be Jan, Kathy Parity, Abby Marshall, Sheila Thorne, and Christine Nutty. Those are the only people that are gonna change. Those people are all gonna have Fridays off. They're gonna work Monday through Thursdays, and they're gonna have Fridays off. They're all working 4 days a week right now, just various days during the week that they're off. So we're already working the 4 and 3 schedule. We're just getting it all together. It's gonna make it more efficient and effective. And beneficial. Everybody wants more.
And the alternative, I suppose, is to hire more people.
Do that. That's gonna cost us more money.
Only money.
Mike, you had a question?
I was just checking on code enforcement. One day.
Oh, he works until the time party, by the way. He's got 35-hour work. He works.
And you had answered that, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Justin?
So, correct me if I'm wrong, Public Works, last time we did a 4-day work week, right?
Public Works in the summertime goes with 4-day work.
Just during the summer. Do we have any feedback from them on how they like that schedule?
They love it.
Okay, and then another question that raised during this last discussion, what do we do with them on, obviously they don't work holidays either, if they've got a Monday holiday. What do we,
They get their money off, right, just like they normally would, right? So we always have people on call, Public Works, so if they have a catastrophe happen, they come in. I mean, that's never a dead department. That's right. They're in there.
Just a curiosity question. So if Monday is their day off. Regularly. And the holidays on the Monday,
They wouldn't have a Monday off.
Nobody has Mondays,
nobody has Mondays off. Is anybody gonna have Mondays off?
Mondays or Tuesdays,
Yeah.
nobody has off.
Except for the transfer.
Yeah, transfer station, that's correct.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to figure out how I can get the transfer station on a 4 and 3 schedule, but that is going to be a hard push.
Because, you know, one of the things that comes down, and when I'm not looking at individuals, I'm just looking at the community as a whole, saying, oh. They're making it harder for us to get to the town office. Maybe not true, but there will be people who have that perception, just like at the transfer station. I can't go Monday and I can't go Tuesday. If they get Wednesdays too, we'll be down to. 40. And again, I'm not agreeing with that.
Yeah.
But that will
Changes
be a
are, there's
perception.
no question about it. I mean, you know, Susan from Bucksport, she brought this process up to Hamden in 2007. And they won't go back. She brought it into Bucksport. It works well. You know, the towns who have done it, and you've got 15 of them right there, they won't go back. You know, and the public supports them. And, you know, and let's face it, our staff in the front office is probably some of the most loved town employees we have in the town of Oakland. So, and I think that that's part of the, gonna make it easier.
Are the hours set in stone? 7 to 5?
Nothing's set in stone, but that seems to capture people in the morning and it captures people at night. We have had no complaints on
No.
opening earlier or staying up later. We used to stay open later long before me. And it wasn't very productive. A lot of people didn't take it because it was for 1 day a week. And, you know, working people.
No, I mean, if you went every day, 7:30 to 5:30, would that please more people than going 7 to 5? I
I think
would,
it's 6 to 1, half
See,
dozen the other.
The problem that you have is that when motor vehicle closes, they're shut down, and if people are coming in to register vehicles and we need to have their advice on something, they're closed. So we would end up having to turn those people away anyway. So we have a sign up there now that says, anybody that is registering a new vehicle, it needs to be done by 4 o'clock.
but that would be the same case now. If we stayed open till 6, say, they still wouldn't be able to, you know, there'd be a sign up there that says the same thing. You gotta be here by 4.
The same thing.
And I just, you know, I just don't know
5 o'clock's a good time to shut it down.
what.
5 o'clock at night's a good time to shut it down. You've got DMV that's still open. They're closing down at 5 as well.
You know, you say that, but the people who work 8 to 5, I have to drive 45 minutes to work. I get to work at 8, I get out of work at 8, I gotta get out of work at 3, so I can be here at 4 to register my new vehicle.
That's the way it's always been like.
No, I'm just saying, that's perception. I know that's the way it goes, but I'm saying that is going to be the perception. Let me raise your taxes, but then we're gonna shut our hours down. That's what we're gonna get from perception. I'm just saying, so-
Taxes.
I'm hoping, Mike, that if the council does approve it, that Abby, she's been fantastic about getting things on the website. It seems like everybody is on Facebook, and with some signage like Ella mentioned.
Yep.
I mean, we can get the message out there. Even now, we do a lot to try to accommodate everybody.
Oh, yeah.
So from 7 to 5 every day, you know, if they're calling, we're accommodating them.
Right.
I,
I wholeheartedly think it's a good idea. My thought of people's perception.
Mhm.
I used to hate it when my daycare closed at 5.
Mm.
How am I? You know, I work at till 5. I can't get out of work, leave Bath Ironworks at 5 and be here at 5:03 to pick up my kid. Well, don't worry, we're only gonna charge you $50 for the extra half hour. No, you know, so I mean, people's perception and people's work hours are changing. I think it's good, the good thing, and I like what you said, because you'll take and put a marquee sign up and we're. On March 1, we're starting to close, no, we're gonna tell them, hey, June 1st, this is what it's going to, you know. Town office and have it sit right on
I
there,
think
people
we
see
need
it, see it, see it, see it.
we need to prepare people.
That's
for
right,
it.
absolutely, we
And
can
we
work
can-
them and they'll understand why, everyone's doing it, you know, so, cost boy.
And I think when Mike just said, so you're raising my taxes and you're gonna close a whole day, the wisdom of not raising taxes this year, if you're going to combine it with closing the office on Friday, makes a great deal of sense now. Because had you increased the taxes and close on Friday, what Mike just mentioned, there'd be a lot of people in town thought that exactly.
Mhm. I agree.
So keeping taxes unraised is important.
We are having a different workforce now. Younger people coming into the workforce want 3-day weekends. Screw it. They don't want to work 6 days a week. They don't want to work 5 days a week. And they,
Let's find out if Mike worked. Do you get a 3-day weekend, Mike?
If you want.
You're not open.
You
when I
can
go
if
to
you
work.
want.
well, so this is the discussion. And if you, as a council, need to think about this, we can certainly bring it back to the table again and talk about it a little more. The other thing I wanted to mention while I had you here is the conundrum of snow days. That is always a hassle. One thing that other towns are doing is following the state on this. And the reason they're doing that, especially in their town office, is because of motor vehicles. Because if the state's shut down, we become dead in the water. When it comes to any complications, when it comes to registrations. So. Ed and I were just talking about this today. Tomorrow we're supposed to get a foot of snow. Who knows where it's gonna go? And I'm gonna call Mike 4:30 in the morning. We're gonna talk about it. We really don't know what the weather's gonna be at 9 or 10 or 11 o'clock. We really don't know what's going on.
State's already closed tomorrow,
What's that?
state is already closed tomorrow.
So, you know, and the problem when you have a snowstorm, especially a heavy snowstorm, you got traffic in and out, and Jeff and his crew are trying to plow yards. And it's a problem. It's very difficult. So I would like the council to consider allowing the town office and the town follow the state. Now, depending on who's in the state house down there, we might not ever close on a snow day. But, or you may be closed on every snow day. And I just think it makes it cleaner to us than it's easier.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
I would think if you're gonna do that, that you, give a good deal of notice about doing that. The same as the closing on Fridays thing, and not start it tomorrow.
Well.
Started.
How we do
Next
this,
winter.
how we do this now.
Uh,
There is no.
It's a little
notice
short.
on a snow day.
Huh?
There is no notice on a snow day right now. What I do is I get up in the morning at 4:30. I text Jan, what's the weather in Oakland? Jeff is also involved in that text. They'll say, don't close Jeff will say, don't open the town office for 2 hours. I now text Mike, say, what do you think? This is what I'm hearing. Keep it closed. So there is no notice when we're closed on a snow day.
Well, I guess I was unaware that we closed on Sundays.
There's a lot.
So it's not a real big problem for you.
Not for me. I don't love the snow.
We close on, we either open up at 10 o'clock on snow days or close, and it's. And if we're going into the town office and there's no way we can call up the state on motor vehicle issues or something like that, then again, we're rendered useless.
John Woolman.
We have a good working relationship, I guess, with the schools. They could close Augusta down and they've got a lot of snow and we don't. Does it make sense to coordinate with the schools? And they run it right across the TVs?
We close, yeah, I don't agree with that.
Well, they're doing the same thing. Part of the reason is so they get plowed out. They can't get the buses out. We can't get the roads plowed because people, the kids can't get to school. Now, yeah, maybe they do it too much, but what's to say the state's gonna make any better decision than we are locally?
Well, the problem, the thing is, following the state allows us to have access to DMV records. That's part of the issue.
But which is more important, the safety of people or whether we can get a car registered? I'm not saying that's the case, but if I was buying a car or something, I would probably say, I'm not gonna drive today anyway, so I'm not gonna worry about getting my car registered. I just think it's something we have to, think about. Who are we gonna go by? Is it gonna be the weather forecast?
But the only reason I mention state is because that's what the towns are doing. I mean, most of the towns that are closing down on a scheduled business, they follow what the state is. State says they're open at 11 o'clock, they open 11 o'clock because they have access to computer systems. And that's the only reason I'm right. And this conversation is for the moment. Jen and I just had this 3 hours ago
I
now.
think I would like to have that when, and Ella has been contacting me. So 4:30 in the morning, sure, I mean, I always tell Ella, I'll go in, sure, I'll go in, but do we want everybody to come in? Do we want everybody to travel in that weather? Probably not, so, but it's hard to make that judgment at 4:30 in the morning. But I've never told her no, but I refuse, I'm not going in, but at the same time, I have the same compassion for some of the other people that maybe have to shovel their way out and, just to be able to get here, so.
That office staff that we have work hard. And there's many days on snow days where we may have one customer all day long. Nothing.
The last
going on.
time.
And
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, there's been days it's been so bad that I'll tell Jan, close at 4 o'clock, we're out of here. It's dead, let these kids go home. And, we've done.
Just to give us more information. If we close the office on a snow day, what else do we close?
The office would be closed and the library would be closed, Parks and Recreation Department would go. It would be the entire office staff assessing code enforcement, because we just don't have any business. That's the other aspect now.
Not essential.
Not essential personnel, that's the way it's worded.
Sewer?
Sewer department, Boyd won't come in either, no. But he can work from home, he's got I work from home, I mean, I take this stuff home, if I don't come to work, I'm still working. Just like Kelly does,
So the people who are paid hourly, if they have a snow day, they get paid their regular wage.
I pay him the same wage.
The-
That's the
the-
advantage of not being union.
Yeah, the state, I would guess that the state probably averages 2 to 3 days a year when they close the state down. And it is hard to figure out at 4 o'clock in the morning because had an occasion where for 2 years I did that. I was one of I decided whether the legislature would meet or not on those days. And I really think it's probably 2.5 days a year. And given the fact that there isn't a hell of a lot to do at the town on the counter, when the state's closed, I guess it makes sense.
We haven't had a snow day yet this year. We've come in late. We haven't shut down for the whole day, have we? This year? And, you know, and it's not like we take advantage of this issue, because we never have. I mean, I think last year we had one day. If we follow the state, we may have a few more than what we've had before, but if we're only closing down 2 or 3 days, it's not a lot. We're not talking a lot of time. It just makes it simpler and less complicated for us. The decision is made for us.
Right.
And when we go in there, those computer systems aren't working and somebody comes in and got a brand new registration and some complications to it, we can't help them out. They've traveled down there to get that. And what we do is we advertise it on our social media page and our webpage, social media being the most effective, and people share it. So it gets out there amongst the public, that one knows.
Do we share it with will the news, I think the news stations will put it up on
Yeah,
TV,
the newspapers have followed.
not the
that much
newspapers, the
anymore.
TV
Stop
stations,
using the newspapers.
the TV stations.
TV station.
Because they have town office closings on it,
That little ribbon that goes across. Yeah.
but that's the first thing that
That's
gets
what
watched every
Kathy
morning.
Parody's job is to do. She's the one that don't, or are you doing that now?
I have not notified, no, because we haven't actually been.
Close? No, that's right. And part of the reason for this conversation, we have tomorrow. You know, everything is indicating that we've got put a snow coming and it's gonna be a mess. So, you know, that's kind of, and we know the state's closed, we know Winslow's closed, we know that Fairfield's closed, we know that Belgrade's already closed. And, you know, the girls were waiting for me to make a decision. I said, I'm not gonna make it until 4:30 in the morning. Then Jan said, well, let's talk about getting on lined up with the state tonight. And go that road.
I don't have an issue going with the state closing and we closing. I would not be in favor of following the schools. I understand the schools are super precautious because of the children they're transporting. But how many times have we seen them cancel school and snow doesn't hit till 6 o'clock? And they're favoring the caution side. And I get that, but we don't need to shut it down because everybody else is still out there doing work.
So Dave, what I'd like to just add one more thing here. What I would like to have the ability to do is if we decide to follow the state and we find that at noontime the sun comes out, I think that our staff has to understand we're coming in to work at noontime. We're not gonna sit home with a sunny day when everything's clear up. So I think there has to be some common sense in play for that.
They're off, they're off. I mean, they're just as buried as everybody else. They haven't left yet.
Like you still won't have motor vehicle.
Is that a motion?
I make a motion if the state closes, we close.
And that was seconded by Bob. All in favor?
Thank you. Very much. Good conversation. Appreciate that.
Anything else?
But don't tell them they need to come in at noon because the sun's out.
I'll come in and do it.
Well, make it ugly.
Anything else? David, did you have anything?
I'm all set.
Bob, did you have anything?
I'm good.
All
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made, second, all in favor. Thank you both, and good night.
This would be a lot easier, you know, when we get our new electronic signs, so we can inform people out there what's going on.
I get that.
Got a motion, we need the land to put it on.
Ella,
Still on TV.